I should be live.
All right. Okay, and there's about a 4-second delay. All right, I'm going to put you on speaker.
All right.
All right, and we will count you in one at a time, unless we want you to start early.
All right.
Excuse me, we just want to start them early by about 3 minutes. All right, he's ready to start now. Are you ready to start now?
Yeah, let me minimize this Discord thing I was just popping up. Okay.
Okay.
All right. I am.
Yeah, preview. Oh, preview 2. All right. Fading in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You're live.
All right.
I'll text you your warning.
All right. Hello, world. Hello, world. Welcome to the two-minute pre-show before my panel officially starts. We will be talking about cosplaying abroad, but in the meantime, while we are waiting to the final official countdown, basically, I am Aeonica Cosplay, and I host panels, events, and photo shoot gatherings at conventions all over the Midwest when conventions are happening all over the Midwest. This year, it's obviously been just a little bit different, and so we are adapting to this thing that is called 2020, and we are setting our sights on a glorious 2021, and hopefully everything will be awesome then. But we are going to be awesome right now, because I will be sharing some information that I've picked up from what was my first event abroad. I'd never been to an anime convention or any big convention overseas. It's not my first time traveling overseas, so I when I decided to actually do this, I was maybe a little better prepared than the average bear, maybe. But there's always something different when you're going to different countries. Not every country, obviously, not every country is the same. In fact, some things are really different, but at the same time, there are some things that are very common. And so it is 10:30. So now I will give you the official opening for my panel here. Good morning, everybody. It's 10:30 Eastern Time. I am Aeonica Cosplay, and this is Cosplaying Abroad, a panel designed to help you help you know or to learn a little more about going abroad, about cosplaying abroad, and about itching your itching your tourism scratch when things finally open and you decide, not only do I want to go to a convention, but I want to go overseas and go to a convention because, well, I'm travel and convention deprived. So if that's you, then this is the panel. This is a panel that will definitely help you. Um, but when the basics before you even pick out your outfits, although you may already have outfits picked out, guilty sometimes, but you will want to make sure that you are ready to go because you don't just I'm gonna go to the Philippines tomorrow for a convention. Buy your ticket, go. Not probably unless you've done this 1,000 times before, probably not the best idea. Because when you're traveling, depending on where you're going, well, actually, this part doesn't depend on any of that. If you're going anywhere, you will need a passport. You will need. I'm targeting U.S. citizens right now, though this may be overseas, may be broadcast worldwide. But I have experience with the U.S. and our transportation, our transport and passport system. So that's where my angle is going to be coming from. But if you are going overseas from America, you need a passport. You definitely need a passport. Not only do you need a passport, but you should make very well sure that it doesn't that your expiration date is greater than 6 months out from your current travel plans. If you're planning on going next week, you want to make sure that your passport doesn't expire for 6 months after that. It's for your own protection, and some countries require that. Some countries require that, and if it's going to expire, make sure you're planning well enough ahead in advance that you have time to renew it. Um, sometimes sometimes you learn by experience. In my case, I was going to the Philippines. It was December 2019 was my trip, and my my passport was in need of renewal, and I procrastinated, and it was my trip was coming up, and my passport. I was trying to find it because it's easier to renew your passport, to renew or replace your passport if you have your old one. And so my old one got lost. And so I ended up actually driving up to the Detroit passport processing office, and by divine providence, and the gracious work of the staff of that office, I was able to get same day processing on my passport. That almost never happens. Do not count on that. More than likely I could have ended up walking out of that office crying because now I've got over $1,000 of non-refundable flight, hotels, lots of disappointed social media followers who were excited for me to actually be coming to the Philippines and to meet them all face to face at the convention. So do not procrastinate. Do not do what I did. You may get fortunate, but it is definitely not a guarantee by any stretch of the imagination. And let's see. So that is the first thing. Get your passport, and then your visa. Now your visa and your flight. It's kind of what comes first, the chicken or the egg sort of thing. Sometimes some countries require that you have your flight entry and exit plans already in place before they will grant you a visa. And so the order of this kind of depends on where you're visiting. For me, for the Philippines, I had to have my flight already arranged. And so you'll make sure you want to book your flight. This can be expensive. There are multiple websites to look at. One was skiplagged.com, expedia.com, and sometimes directly through airline sites, like southwest.com, and many of the others. But I believe, let's see, I actually booked my flight for Manila through Expedia, and I was able to tie my hotel into that, and I actually got a really good deal on my hotel. It ended up being like 20 something dollars a day, so that was and it came with a breakfast voucher, so that was really cool. So once you've got your flight, and again, and you may have your hotel and other things all booked together. It depends on how you like to do things. But once you have your flight, make sure you are leaving yourself ample time to get to the airport, and all that kind of stuff. And also relating to the flight, if you're driving to the airport, they have huge parking lots. They have multiple parking lots in many cases for where the international flights launch from. The question to remember is, where is your car? You don't want to go and get back and be ready to crash after days of convention partying and then maybe a week or two of tourism and sightseeing and crazy packed days only to have to find the car in the parking lot. Not a game you want to play. It's not going to be fun if you get home late. It's like midnight. It's like midnight and you're on one of the people movers or whatever, trying to remember which parking lot was it, the red one, the green one, the blue one, and all that stuff. So I strongly recommend taking a picture of your car in the parking lot with identifiable marks. Sometimes they have poles that have numbers or letters. Get a picture of your car with that and make sure you know where it is so that your return can be nice and smooth. And that's part of the pre-planning, because once you're there, you're not going to be able to, oh, I should have remembered where my car is. No, that's something you want to do in your pre-planning. And then now that you've got your flight, now if you need it, you can get your visa. For the Philippines, I did not need a visa, so that was fortunate for me. They stamp and do their thing with your American passport right there at the airport when you come to Manila, and so that is something that is good if you want to go. It makes it easier, because you also need to budget for your visa, because that could be anywhere from, I don't know, say $50 to $150 or so, depending on where you're going, and so you're going to have to backlog if you need to renew your passport. You're going to have to move that forward based on how long it can take them to process your visa. So you'll get your passport, you'll get your new passport. You will need to make sure you have registered for it early enough so that your passport comes in time, so that you can mail it to the country you're visiting, to their consulate here in the U.S., so that they can do their validating and everything. That's very important, because hard lesson. It was a regular trip, but I was going to visit Togo, West Africa, and had the flight, had my passport, sent it off. It was right on the edge of the time. They took their good time processing it, and it got back to me the day after my flight left, or a couple days after my flight left. So that was a hard lesson learned about visas. So make sure you give yourself enough time, because you don't want to have that happen to you. That's a very sad thing. And then, so yeah, and I will show you. Let's see, come on. Open picture. Yep, this is what I'm talking about here for being your car. See, in that case, there's a 16B right there. It made it really easy for me to track down my car when I got back, and from Manila, and so that's just a very good thing to do. And so so now you have your flight, your visa's taken care of, your passport's all taken care of. The next thing you want to do is lodging. Know the event that you're going to. For me, it was Cosplay Matsuri, which is in the Pasay district. I'm not sure how it's subdivided necessarily, but the Pasay district of Manila, which is a very large city. And my hotel, and you can actually do a lot of pre-planning here, because Google Maps, as long as you're not one of the people that's averse to Google Maps is amazing. Before I even left, I was able to zoom down to the street level. I saw where the convention center was, where my hotel was, where some of the major local landmarks and stuff were, and I was actually able to plot my walking path because I got close. I was close enough that I could easily walk to the convention center, avoiding some major unnecessary costs for back and forth transport. So that's another good thing to do. But I was just able to literally, with my little touch screen, I was able to just scroll back and forth, pinch and zoom. It just made it. I was ready. I was ready because I had never visited this city before, and familiarity is going to make it a lot smoother. make your travel a lot smoother if you're familiar with the area where you're going. And if it's a major built-up area, and it probably is if you're going to a convention there, then you should be able to access your city just like I was able to access Manila and zoom all the way to my heart's content, find local restaurants, and it was just a lot of fun. But it helps you. It'll help you pick out your lodging too, because you want to be close enough to make it easy. Well, at least that was what I wanted to do. And there's different types of hotel, and I actually had the opportunity to stay in a capsule hotel when I was in Manila. And what it is, it's almost like a dorm room, and you've got each of those little door, those little the square door, the squares that look like blinds pulled down. Each of those is your capsule, and it's kind of like a dorm. When I was there at mine, there were people from California, a native from Israel, from Jerusalem, who actually lived in the old city of Jerusalem in Israel. And so sometimes, in addition to the convention, you can just have some awesome conversations depending on if you're in a situation like this, like a hostel or a capsule hotel, and there were lockers to put your stuff in if you had anything you were worried about possibly getting stolen. But and the capsule Japan is kind of was like the Japanese hotels. It was like the Kabaya. It was called the Kabayan Hotel, and there was a little place for you to boxes to put your shoes in when you came into the room, and it was just a neat experience in and of itself. And so make sure that the kind of hotel that you're staying at is one that you're going to be comfortable. Not everybody may want to do the capsule hotel or like a hostel. And so there are conventional hotels. Sometimes you might have to look depending on where you're going. But there are plenty of conventional hotels. But I will say that the capsule hotel saved me a fortune. I was literally able to stay for about almost 2 weeks, and it was great. And it was awesome. I had different roommates, and I got to talk to them and show them some of my costumes and what I was doing here and there in Manila. Which brings me up another point. You, for purposes of safety and to help with that comfort level, if you have any local connections in the country where you're going, that can help you a lot. That you can sometimes you'll be able, if you let them know, maybe you can even meet up with them, and you can have even more adventures, and maybe they'll cosplay with you. I have to to give a shout out to a cosplayer named Reina, who was also an artist and a vendor at the Cosplay Matsuri. We got selfies and all that kind of stuff, which I do actually have on here somewhere. But that it helps. It helps. You have somebody that if you get in some kind of a jam or lost or something, you can contact them, and that can help you, because no matter how much you pre-study, the locals in the area are always going to be more familiar with the laws, the regulations, the opportunities and different opportunities that you can have to improve your stay in the country. And so, right along with that, phone service, and this actually ties into the part about safety and propriety. Make sure that you have a phone that is global ready. Sometimes you can get that. Sometimes you can make sure through your phone service provider. I know personally that I used Google Fi as for my phone service while I was in Manila, because it gave me a solid local connection while still having my American number, so that I could, if I needed to, I could text or use data or reach anybody without having to worry about it expiring or dropping service. And there's like there and that was another thing that I looked up and why I decided to choose the Google one because I was able to get a $20 plan that had data in like I think it was like 200 areas, and one of them just happened to be the Philippines and specifically Manila, and it worked out fantastic for me. There are many providers. You'll definitely want to look into that, but it was a it was a great it was a lifesaver. It allowed me to stay connected to my family and friends at home and let people know where I was and how I was going. You don't always want to be dependent on a local Wi-Fi hotspot, and you definitely don't want to be end up in a place where you're cut off from everybody. So make sure you have a good data access to international service on your phone, or at the very least, make sure you have a phone that is international GSM compatible so that you can, when you get there, a lot of times in the airport they'll have data SIMs. You can pick up one of those and drop it in your phone and go. Make sure you're not cut off from everybody. That's very important. Which leads us further into the safety and propriety of your travels. Be aware of local restrictions. I'm thinking about that's especially in regards to props. And as an example, this is fake. See the orange tip? Be especially mindful of any props that you may be taking because you definitely don't want to have an international crisis at the airport or anything where somebody might get panicked and local laws might be different. Now, the side note to that is sometimes local laws might be totally different, and I have let me see if I can find this picture because this is not a cosplay that you would see most likely at any of the conventions here in the U.S. But they were actually cosplaying, and it was cosplay, but they were cosplaying a terror group, and their prop weapons did not have orange tips or anything like that. And so if you didn't know it was a convention, you might get panicked a little bit. So it could be both ways. It could be super stringent or it could be very lenient depending on the local situation and laws. So be very aware of that. But as a person traveling abroad to your host country, I would hold yourself to a higher level. Maybe certain things are allowed, but you might want to ask yourself: is it expedient for me coming from abroad to maybe take advantage of these the local laws to do different things? Be very careful. Like I said, you are the guest, so hold yourself to a sort of a higher standard of safety for your own safety, not because there's anything wrong with different props necessarily, but just be mindful of that and yeah. And then in addition to that, be aware of local customs and local traditions. Some countries are much more culturally conservative. And so maybe if you're looking for an experience in a host country, maybe if you're like me and you're a guy that likes to do crossplay, maybe it's not necessarily expedient for that trip because again, you are the guest, you are sort of at the mercy of the local laws and regulations, and you don't want to be in a place where you're necessarily putting yourself or maybe those that associate with you in any kind of danger. So that's just something to be aware of. That not all. In Manila wasn't bad at all. It was a very open and welcoming culture. I had lots of fans at the convention, so that which was awesome. There's just a handful of all the different selfies that I was able to take with people. It was a lot of fun. They were excited to have an American coming to their local convention. It doesn't happen very often, and so yeah, just be aware of the local customs as it may relate to especially crossplay and the degree of body coverage, for your own personal safety. And if it's a cool place, then maybe you can do it. It's just something you want to make sure of, because at the end of the day, it's your responsibility for your life, and the decisions you make can help keep you safer. Which leads us into another point. You will encounter scammers, whether you're going to the Philippines or you're going to Europe or wherever your event is. There will be people that will try to scam you. One thing I hadn't, hindsight 2020, passport checks. It was obvious that I was a stranger in Manila, because a 6 foot tall European, Caucasian type guy. So I actually got targeted by a team that was presented themselves as security people reviewing the passport of foreigners traveling in the country, and it seemed official, but I later learned that that's not part of the local law, and that sort of goes back into learning the local customs, local laws for especially for foreign nationals vacationing or residing in the country. Yeah, I lost a good amount of all the cash that I had brought and had at that point. So fortunately, it wasn't a lot, but it was about $50 US at that point. But it still made it. I still had missed out on some things because I didn't have cash, and so that made me kind of sad. So don't let that happen to you. Make sure to always be polite. Ask for ask to see badges or identification or whatever have you. If they're in a civilian vehicle, or one without government plates, probably not legit. So that's definitely something to be mindful of, because you don't want to lose your money. And on that, something else I wish that I had known at the time that I didn't know, but is so obvious once I thought about it. If you are in a situation where you run out of money, you can use Western Union to send yourself money. It sounds so obvious, but I didn't even think about it. If I had thought about it, I could have resolved my problems like that. But yes, you can Western Union yourself money. Make sure to have all the apps on your phone related to banking and stuff updated and ready to go, and make sure that your biometric security is all set up on your phone and everything, so that if your phone gets lost, your data is still secure. You can Google and Apple, both have forms of remote erasure if your phone gets lost and you want to make sure it's safe. So that is very important. And while we're on that money budget, remember that you'll have to be converting your dollars into local currency. For me, it was for the Philippines, it was pesos, and it was a favorable exchange rate. And so make sure you have enough money for meals, any souvenirs that you might want to bring back, and then some money set aside from the rest of your money for any kind of emergency purpose. Your purse gets stolen, your bag gets stolen, your wallet gets lost. So those are situations you have to be prepared for. And I also ended up losing my wallet too. So yeah, don't do what I did in these cases. But the good news is it was secure, it was safe. I was able to contact my bank. None of the cards had problems. They all got shut down. So that was good. And along the lines of budgeting, be aware of what credit cards you have. Some credit cards offer no conversion cost, and others, if you buy in a local currency in a foreign country, there will be some kind of an exchange rate fee associated with that. I know personally that the Amazon Prime card does not have those fees. So if you're using that card or one like that, you will have no extra transaction fees. And I found my exchange rate was actually fairly favorable. So that was actually another thing that actually worked out in my favor. So that was really cool. And also be mindful, because I talked about the cash, that you will not always, that in some areas they don't take a lot of credit cards. When I was in Manila, the big stores at the mega mall, they did take credit card, but a lot of the local restaurants, like the Jollibee and some of the others, do not take credit cards. And the purchase for the badges at the convention was cash only. So that's another thing you'll want to be aware of when you're planning this. And so sometimes taking a little cash and then having your Western Union information on tap will allow you to both only carry a little bit of money at a time and still have access to money so that you can continue on. So that's important. And then specifically also bags, luggage. Cosplayers have costumes, and we love to travel. And a lot of cases, you will get 3 suitcases for international flights. And so it's a lot of space, and it's really good, but don't overpack it, because you want to be able to bring some cool things back. What I did personally, I had one luggage for personal effects and everything. I had another suitcase that I packed cosplays in, and then I had another suitcase that was mostly empty for the purpose of bringing back any unique swag that I found at the dealer's room, or things that I bought from local community vendors and things. And so it was really fun, and making sure I had enough space in my luggage allowed me to not worry about sweating bullets when I came back with stuff and realized I couldn't get it all home. So that is a very sad thing. So yeah, budget your space. It's very important. And then once you're actually there, once you touch down at the airport, you're going to have to get to your hotel. And from Manila, when I went to Manila, it turned out that the Grab app was their local version of Lyft and Uber, and so the rates were actually really good. I think the actual cost, even after I gave them one of the recommended tip size, was somewhere around $5 per trip, which is really good, especially even comparable to Lyft and Uber in the U.S., where most of the single trips I've usually taken between 5 and 15 miles for getting from an airport to my hotel was at the minimum about $15. So it was very favorable and that was before any tips, and so it was very favorable. And so knowing that and being able to have those apps and things already staged on your phone will expedite your transport process, so you can get settled into your hotel and start having the time of your life. And then when you get there, most conventions are anywhere from 2 to 4 days. I personally generally I won't even fly domestically for a single day event usually. So I'm assuming that if you're traveling abroad, you're probably going to at least a 3-day event. But if you can, generally, sometimes you can get a lot cheaper flights by having one or both of your flights arrive or depart midweek, or like Monday to Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So if you stay, sometimes you can stay a little longer for a little bit, for a little less. And so if you do that, then you can do more local, you can travel and see some of the sites beyond the convention, which is something I recommend because it just adds to the experience. And it's like, trying, let's see, this was, well, yeah, this was actually at Hong Kong. My layover was in I had a layover in Hong Kong, and so that was fun. But the local tourism, for example, it was something as simple as going to Jollibee, which is basically the Philippines' national restaurant, unofficial national restaurant, um, and just being able to go and see the local sites. There's some familiar fare you'll see, like, and it's just fun to see even things you normally recognize, um, but translated for the local audience in the host country. And it was just really cool, and you could see. Here, let me show you some more of the simple sites that you can see sometimes abroad. Look at these are your skyscrapers, and if you like K-pop, just take a look at those Twice band. Those are probably some of the largest Twice posters in existence, and K-pop is really big in the Philippines, and just some of that convention happened just after Christmas, so all of their local malls and stuff were still done up for Christmas, and it's not just Americans that go crazy for Christmas. Just look at this massive display in the mega mall in the Philippines, and it's just. And sometimes while you're traveling, you can even find other little local events going on. I was able to go to an Ozine festival right before the main cosplay. Oh, I just closed it out. Main cosplay Matsuri festival, and so I got to spend an extra day at a mini convention, and so that was just fun. But one of the things I really actually enjoyed was exploring the local SM Mega Mall, and here's a store, a Xiaomi store. If you're familiar with the international phone brand, Xiaomi and almost all of the others all have their own major their actual storefronts in the malls, mega mall in Manila, the mega mall in Manila. How many times fast can you say it? And some festive seasonal cosplay. Gotta love it. But yeah, you want to make sure. And there was just so many cool things. I mean, like even our DC and Marvel superheroes. There was a DC cafe, and so they had Batman and. See, it was the DC superstore and stuff, and it was really cool. Just seeing how a lot of our iconic brands and heroes and stuff are interpreted overseas, and it's just even us. We have like Chinese restaurants, Mexican restaurants, and sometimes little. Well, we have and like Little Italy, Little China, and different things, but. Here, in the Philippines, they have the international version of that, where this is a store dedicated to things stereotypically American, and it was just the most amazing thing to see. It's like you can see if you see there are Big Boy Coca-Cola, some of the other things that are just it was truly unique to see a foreign take on American culture, and that's one of the things you can sometimes are able to see when you go when you're willing and able to take the time to go. This is me going to the Jolly Bee and getting the Jolly meal, and so it's with one of my local friends, and just trying some of the local cuisine. It was very good, and they actually have a few of these here in the U.S., but they're just so far from me. And more American brands and then our superheroes. A lot of the stuff that we have here. Oh, and for Frozen 2 was going on right then, and it was awesome because, well, I love Frozen, and so do they. But yep, and the clothing stores even had official outfits for Twice, and I'm not gonna lie, I was seriously tempted to buy one of those just just because. But yeah, that the tourism outside the event can be awesome and add so much, and it can add so much to your experiences your experience abroad. And so I definitely recommend it. So let me pull up. Yeah, local. And and also if you happen to be, since Cosplay Matsuri happened during the New Year's happened just before the New Year's holiday, I was there for New Year's, and this was part of one of the celebrations at the local mega mall, and I'm up on a high balcony looking down on a massive audience. They had a 3-part stage. You can all kind of see a crowd on the other side, and the performers would go back and forth from stage to stage, and it was pretty wild. I try to give you a scope here of the size. Just give me a second here. If you can see, it was absolutely incredible, which is fitting for that mall because I walked all day in it and didn't even get probably a quarter of it covered. 4 floors with all the, and there's even a wing full of all of electronic storefronts. Asus had 2 storefronts, an Asus storefront and an Asus Republic of Gamers storefront, and an Asus Republic of Gamers kiosk. And so that was an amazing sight to behold. And actually, back on that, I've got to show you the arcade, the game room that was in the mall. Where'd you go? Give me just a second. Where's that arcade? Okay, I'll pause the arcade thought, but look at this. This is the Republic of Gamers store, and they had I'm a computer geek at heart, so this kind of stuff was just seeing all this stuff. Oh, look at all the come on, just seeing all of the. It was awesome. I wish we had some storefronts like this here, but anyways. Oh, one more from this. So look at this lovely, just beautiful setup. Hands off to Manilla for their awesome storefronts. And now after all of that, and I will have a wrap up closer to the end of this, but and then here's their one of their geek stores. It's called Comic Alley, and notice the anime character, and so I think in some cases anime or manga is sometimes considered as comics. You could see Deku there. And actually that brings up another local point. there you may, and you may end up having to encounter um, places where you don't understand the local language. That's something else that you need to make sure. Are you going to be able to communicate well enough to get around? Fortunately, Manila, the Philippines had dual or has English as the one of the major national and legal languages, so that really helped it out. And I knew that going into this, and that's part of the reason why I was able to plan for my trip to Manila. But if you're like going to Japan or China or France or even one of the South American conventions, just be aware that you're probably going to have a significant linguistic barrier. If you're like most of us Americans and only know one language fluently. Um, I'm speaking of myself because I had great difficulty trying to learn other languages in a conversational sense. So that is something else to be aware of while you are traveling abroad. And if linguistics may be your weak suit, maybe you want to do like I did and um, target a country where English is one of the major languages. And so here's one of the other AC stores. Just sort of random awesome. Oh, here's the arcade. This arcade is cool. You want Jew beat? You want a line at the Jew beat? They got the Jew beat. They got, yeah. Look at these, and let's see. Oh, come on. Oh, there we go. And this was just a regular arcade. Come on. Technology. Oh, and this arcade has something I've never seen at an arcade anywhere in the US or at any convention. But maybe if you have, let me know. But they had karaoke booths in the arcade. KTV room. This is a personal sound box karaoke in the excuse me in the arcade, and that was just. And I've also never seen this dance game. This dance game was very wild. And of course, a tea shop. But there's just so much, and I will talk more about the tourism side. But let's go to the convention now. Let's go to the convention. So you've got all that planned up. So then you've got the convention, and at the one convention they actually at this convention they had a beauty pageant going on, and so I ended up snapping a picture of myself on the red carpet in front of the sponsor thing. So that was fun. And so yeah, that was the cosplay Matsuri was in the building attached to the SM Mega Mall, and so it was also a huge area. That's just one of the main themes is huge, and in all honesty, it was kind of felt more a lot like how some of the Comic Cons are here. They had an absolutely huge dealer's room, and was kind of all of the events and stuff that were going on went on in this big dealer's room, and they had a big photo prop set up in the center. They had the big main stage, and crowds. There were definitely crowds, even more crowdy in less personal space than at some of the U.S. cons that I've been to. It was really it can be an overwhelming experience if you're not ready for it, and so here is the main stage. Oh, here was the main stage. Like I said, here is the main stage this was for the Cosplay Matsuri. This is where most of the programming happened, and so it was a very loud, very large crowds. I can't emphasize that enough, and it would be even more shocking now that most of 2020 has been almost completely crowdless. But also one thing they don't have at a lot of events here, probably due to liability or something, fog machine, and that was awesome for their karaoke contest. But it was just very, very cool. But the cosplay is basically a universal language, and it was just everybody coming together. All your favorite characters that you know and love at American conventions, you'll more than likely see at some of these some of the conventions abroad. Blech, that's a real tongue twister. And so, oh yeah, and I made cosplay photo cards, and I was actually able to give some of them away because, like I said, I knew people locally, and I have through my cosplay page, and so I was able to give away a number of cosplay photo cards, which was fun. It actually the cosplay experience being an American American abroad was very. Oh, come on here. Let me get this back out here so that I can seamlessly go through these photos here. But it was almost like being a celebrity. People were just so excited and so welcoming, and that I was there. Just group after group, and so sometimes you can be prepared, because people be prepared in some cases to possibly be overwhelmed. Because I literally one of the days of the convention, I probably spent about, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours just directing people because everybody wanted pictures of me or pictures with me, and so it was such an emotional boost. It's like, like, come on, whoa. Woo, woo, just so many people. Woo. And so, as long as you're being respectful and welcoming, people will love that you're there, and it's just awesome. And so that was part of my experience. And I got to click up with the local Love Live community, which I connected through in groups online such as Love Live Hell and Love Live Pure Hell, which was just made a lot of fun. And I was cosplaying Love Live girls all weekend, so that was just a lot of fun. I got to connect with some of the local artists there and got some awesome. Oh God, I did end up getting some awesome swag despite having limited funds because of my own, like I said, my own problems, and then my own lack of realizing I could wire myself money. Don't forget that. If there's one thing that you can take away from this, it's that you can actually wire yourself money, and it's a good thing to remember, because you don't want to miss out. You don't want to miss out on the excitement and the opportunity to bring home some things that will be physical reminders of of memories that will last a lifetime. Oh, look there, and there's my girl Ram. But yeah, there is, and also there's, let's see. here's another shot of the main stage during one of the brief periods that it was actually empty, and so a lot like a Comic-Con, like if you've ever been to like a Wizard World event or one of those other large Comic-Con events like that, then you will be somewhat prepared for how some of these events might be set up. Um, in some countries, you may get a setup similar to the American setup, where you have your main events room, a separate dealer's hall, artist alley, and then panel rooms. So there's all kinds of different ones. So I haven't been to every country's events, but I can just tell you to be ready for some differences, but also to remember that you will have something in common automatically off the bat just by coming to this event. You'll have shared love of things like anime, video games, costumes, and just go in like you normally would with an open mind, and you will have a great time. And another thing to remember, and possibly even more importantly when you're going abroad, is cosplay is not consent. Just like here in the U.S., cosplay is not consent. It's like I said, when you're traveling abroad, hold yourself to an even better standard. Just because you do not want to run abroad, you don't want to run afoul of local laws. And that's one thing I want to emphasize plenty, because I want you to be safe and I want you to enjoy your experience. Have respect. Always get that consent before you put your arm around somebody or basically touch somebody in any way. And again, this is also all holding true that that hopefully in 2020 things will open up again. We'll be able to actually have normal in-person crowded events like we did in 2019, which was glorious and which I look forward to the return of most earnestly, and to seeing you all in person again. And so that is cosplay is not consent. Underscore, underline, 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 underline. And it's just, that's just the key. And if you keep that in mind, you will have yourself a great time, and will probably find yourself in a place where I do, like, you want to go back. And I was supposed to go back this year, but there is not going to be a Cosplay Matsuri 2020 in December this year, sadly. And we all know why, and we all know everything that's going on. But but one thing I did find out that they had tickets instead of badges. And that's one of my Cosplay Matsuri tickets. And so I actually did end up with a contestant badge because I was in their cosplay karaoke contest, which was a lot of fun. That's a recurring theme too. A lot of fun. Oh, there's you can't see it very well, but there's my contestant badge. I was the last contestant that was badged in because my song had trouble downloading. But I got in anyway by some more beautiful Christmas cosplayers. Let's see, what was I going to look for? There was something particular I was going to look for. Day 1, day 2. But you just... Gotta love the... shoot. How can I draw a blank on that right now? Surprise! Oh, anyway, but there's just so much. You'll feel right at home, and you'll just be and the having have this is the face you make when you've lost your money. So don't lose your money. And this is the face you make when you have friends that help you, and having friends and local contacts that can help you, and then you can enjoy. Life is just better with people. Those though Christoph might think reindeers are better than people. Just making just everybody smile, all the wonderful. That's just it still gets me excited just thinking about and talking about these events and just all the magic. And one thing I did, because I'm a Love Live cosplayer and big into Love Live and know a lot of the people in the Love Live fan community. I brought some fun little things that I was able to give out, that I bought from one of our local artists here. Except for the photo cards, those are cosplay photo cards that I made myself and printed at Walmart. But I gave out Love Live buttons. And so if you're a cosplayer and you have a lot of like cosplay pics and whatnot, bring some little things just to sort of give out to the people that meet you or get a picture with you or something, just as like a little thank you, a little fun thank you. I know it was, let's see, it was just a lot of fun. Yeah, fun was the name of the game. Hold on here. And so another fun thing, because of the currency difference, I can show you what looks like shocking gasoline prices, but it's not. And it's like I think it was like 50 pesos to the dollar, so it's not. So that was not as big of a shocker as it initially might have appeared. And here's another translation of American culture. This is an advertisement on a beauty shop for a hippie perm. I've never seen this called a hippie perm before, but in Manila, this was a hippie perm. And so it just kind of makes me laugh seeing some of the interpretations. Like here's a McDonald's ad for a chicken McDo, and it's like it looks like fried chicken, rice, and French fries. Just a localization, and that's about roughly $2, I think. So it's just some of the. And here was the term, sort of the terminal for the local airport there in Manila. I just went crazy with my phone, with my camera, because it was just such an experience. I would normally love to do Q&As, but if you all see this, I posted a link in the Youmacon in the Youmacon fan group, and I tagged the Youmacon 2020 event. And so if everyone has any questions about some of this stuff, I can answer those. I can answer those on the social media pages and groups. And I will also, after the panel, drop a link to my albums, so that you can see all of the wonder that was Manila, and still is Manila, and will be again when they open. But so you can see all of the awesome things that I got to see and experience while I was there. And that's another thing to be prepared for. Setbacks always happen. Like when I lost my money wallet, setbacks will always happen, but it doesn't have to define the trip. If you have contingency plans in place, and you know people locally, and you have all these different, and you plan ahead, you can overcome these and still come out with an amazing experience. I was down. I'll admit I was down for probably a couple hours after I lost my wallet and couldn't find it and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, I was able to realize this could be a once in a lifetime experience, and I was able to make the most of it, and it was fantastic. And I really can't wait to go back when I'm able to. It looks like hopefully I'm target 2021 for my return. But it's important to realize that setbacks will always happen. Cosplayers are not exempt. It's not just wardrobe malfunctions or missing pieces. Whether it's a missing piece, a missing wallet, adapt. It's definitely worth it. It's definitely worth it to adapt so that you don't miss out on the opportunity of a lifetime, which is what it is when you're able to travel abroad to go to these events. And so, let's see. And one of the really cool things about their idol contest is they actually had Japanese VAs, a Japanese artist for their. Okay, that is my 30-minute warning. I think we are running very well. So, but yeah, no, where was I? They actually had a Japanese voice actress and some people that were up into the anime scene in that contest. So that was both exciting and because all I can say is I hope they enjoyed my performance as much as the audience did. I actually did the Japanese version of Let It Go, and they had the fog machines and stuff went off, and it was awesome. I've got video of that. There is video of that both on YouTube and I believe on my Facebook page as well. And so that is definitely a memory that I made and will carry. And I'll also plug being involved in performing arts and entertainment. If you haven't considered it, it is a lot of fun. I used to be completely introverted, and thanks in part to attending convention karaoke and just meeting people in costume and stuff, it enabled me to take steps in doing to modify Anna's song, The Next Cool Thing, and just onward and upward to a new sort of plane of existence that I didn't realize existed. A plane of existence that I didn't realize existed. Really awesome linguistic choice there, right? Anyway, but it was feeling the crowd being all electric. It was electric. There were so many people, and like I said, I had my own sort of little fan crowd, and it was just amazing. I can't get over how amazing this experience was. And I would strongly recommend when things open up again to actually plan to attend one of the Cosplay Mania events in Manila at the Mega Mall. I know for like I said, 2021, I hope to go back to dropped frames detected. Hopefully everyone can still see me. Let's see. It looks like what's going on? Data.